My goal today is to inspire you. I'm here to speak to the person who feels stuck in their training. Maybe you're staying consistent. Maybe you're working out 4, 5, even more days per week, but you feel drained, demotivated, you've plateaued in your workouts. So even though you're putting in the work, you haven't seen the strength gains and you haven't been getting better at your skills. Today I'm gonna be exposing myself and the 5 biggest mistakes that I made and that held me back during my fitness journey. And that might be holding you back too if what I just said resonated with you. By the way, today we're hitting upper body. Don't forget to warm up. Mistake number 1. So overarching mistake number 1, the biggest culprit that causes people to burn out of their workouts, start hating their workouts, and just fall off the fitness train is you don't enjoy what you're training. Now, this is just my hot take, and we're gonna get a little more specific about this, but if you don't enjoy your workouts and you don't find your training at least somewhat enjoyable, you're probably gonna burn out and stop training. Makes sense. And that's just not what we want, because the goal is for us to have fun, learn new skills, for movement to build up our bodies, make us feel more confident, and overall for it to improve our quality of life, not make it worse. And for me, this means there needs to be some element of play. And usually that means I'm falling over, trying new skills, failing at them, but overall having a joyous time, because movement is just the fun part. And once I started training to have fun, play, build up my body, and not to look super jacked and super fit, it's all fun now. For me, looking fit is just a byproduct of my training. Okay, piggybacking off of mistake number 1, mistake number 2 is I wasn't resting strategically enough. I was working out 6, 7 days a week. I was taking 1, maybe no rest days, but maybe on that 1 rest day, I still went and took a walk or went for a jog or took a hike. I was still moving my body, so I wasn't really giving myself adequate rest. And we gotta remember too that rest days aren't just if you're working out or not. How well you're resting is affected by your sleep quality, how many hours of sleep you get a night, if you're fueling yourself, how many other stressors there are throughout your daily life, and in general, the intensity of your training. So there's a lot to think about here. Personally, I need at least 2 rest days a week to train strong, be filled with energy, and actually continue to make strength gains and skill gains in my workouts. This is completely person dependent. Maybe for you it's 3 rest days a week, but I definitely try experimenting around depending on your intensity. Of course, if you're having more intense sessions, maybe have a few more rest days. Make sure that your muscles are adequately recovering. And I know no one wants to hear this, because I did not want to hear this at all. When I heard that, I was like, train less, that's gonna take me farther from my goal. It does not. Okay, mistake number 3 is you aren't properly fueling yourself. And I'm not talking about not getting enough protein, not getting enough carbs before your workouts. I'm just talking about calories in general. I think we're all aware of the fact that if you consume fewer calories, your body has to use up your fat stores, and that decreases your fat and potentially proteins and tissues along with it. So if your goal is to try and build muscle and build strength, how do you expect to adequately fuel your workouts if you're not consuming enough calories in general? Some of you guys might know I like to eat intuitively now, but that's only because I've had years of tracking macros and getting to know if I'm eating enough. And for a long time, I wasn't, which is why I had to start tracking macros. But even nowadays, sometimes I realize if I'm a little stressed, it's easier for me to forget to eat food. And if that happens, I notice that my workouts start to suck. They start to get harder. And that's when I know I need to focus on fueling again, eating those carbs to replenish my glycogen stores in my muscles for my workouts so I can really hit the tuck lever good. Eat my protein to help build muscle, and eating fats to support hormone health, satiety, all the other good things that we need, vitamin absorption. Remember, no one food is bad. So whether it's by accident or intentional, if you notice that your workouts are starting to drop in quality, you're plateaued, you're not having fun anymore, you might not be feeling enough. Just check in on that. Try tracking for a few days if you have a good relationship with tracking and you're comfortable with that. By the way, I'm not single. Me and Jensen are together. He's my partner, so yeah, I'm not single. Now what happens if you're doing mistakes number 2 and 3 for too long? So you're not fueling enough and you're not resting enough. What happens is we start to plateau, and this is kind of combined with mistake number 4, which is that you don't continue to go hard in the gym. And this has happened to me not once, but twice before. I wasn't eating enough, I wasn't sleeping enough, I was stressed, and I continued to work out at the same level, not really thinking, hey, I've been stuck at 4 pull-ups for like months now, maybe I should up them. In order for us to continue to build muscle, to progress, and continue to learn harder skills, we have to implement progressive overload. Yes, we all know you have to increase the intensity of your workout on your muscle in order to stimulate growth. In order for your muscle to get bigger, for you to get stronger, you have to continue to challenge yourself. But it's really easy to forget that when you're not eating enough and when you're not sleeping enough. You're just trying to get through the day because you're stressed. So you're sticking to the same workouts, you never switch it up. Your muscles never get that that shock, that change. Now, what I do when I'm stuck at this progression is one of two things. One is I'll take a deload week, and a deload week is basically you doing very similar exercises, hitting the same muscle groups the same number of times, but instead you're gonna decrease the intensity by 60%. So maybe if you do 8 pull-ups as your normal workout, you wanna drop that to 60% intensity. So add a resistance band, make it a little bit lighter, make it a little bit easier, continue to hit the same muscle groups, just go lighter that week, to allow your body to be like, okay, we're catching up. And then the next week you can return to your normal workouts. Now, option number 2 is to shock the muscle. And this especially works if you've been working in 10 to 12 rep range. What you wanna do is stop working in 10 to 12 reps, drop your rep range to about 6 to 8 reps, even 4 to 8 reps, but you're gonna increase the intensity. So if you've been doing pull-ups for 10 reps at a normal pull-up position, what you wanna do is drop to 6 to 8 reps and shoot for wide grip, or add on weight in a gym with a weight belt. But you wanna increase the intensity, but drop for fewer reps. And then you wanna do that for a few weeks, building up the reps each week. So if you start at 6 reps for 1 week, the next week you wanna go to 7 reps, the next week you wanna go to 8 reps. Continue to make it harder, and by the end, go back to your body weight pull-ups and you're gonna be flying on the bar. Now, of course, you want to keep in mind that this only works if you're decreasing stress in your life, if you're sleeping better, if you're eating enough calories. So just keep in mind, make sure you're fueling yourself and doing all those other things we talked about. Shout out to who asked me what my favorite Halloween question is. One year I matched up with my sister and I was peanut butter and she was jelly, and we were like PB&J, and it's so cute, and it's still to this day my favorite costume, even though I literally just wore like brown cotton clothing and like a peanut butter stamped on my front. But it's memes, so peanut butter is always my favorite Halloween costume. Okay, so mistake number 5, and I know this has happened to everyone at this point, so don't even try and tell me you haven't done this, is that you're not planning your workouts before you go to the gym. So you're like getting to the gym and you're like, oh, I'll just wing it, or you're planning right before you go to the gym, which takes up a lot of brain space, let me tell you. And it is so much harder to continue to progress if you're not tracking how hard you're going and planning your workouts ahead of time, because how are you supposed to increase the number of reps and sets that you do over time? It just makes your life a little bit easier if you plan ahead, prep all your workouts ahead, and you rely on less motivation to get yourself through the workout, which makes your life easier. So what I do is I plan all my workouts on the Sunday the week before. So for me and all the girls I train, Sunday before, I'm like, yes, here we go. And you prep all the workouts, you check last week's, you make sure you're progressive overloading and continue to increase the exercise intensity. Now this is being said with the caveat that if you are trying to train more intuitively and you want to have a little more fun and a little less strict schedule in your workouts, then maybe your main goal is to have more fun and not to necessarily get to your front lever as fast as possible, which is totally okay and a very viable goal because it increases your quality of life. In this case, you don't necessarily have to be like super strict about your workouts if you're already familiar with the exercises you want to do. By the way, the answer to the question, do you have a calisthenics routine? I do have a routine, but it's focused on the goal of getting the shoulder press to handstand, and then I separate the rest of the days on upper body and lower body days. So some people like to do like a push-pull split. I personally love a upper body, lower body, or full body split. I feel like I'm just very inclusive with all my muscle groups that way. I don't know, I just like it. So at the moment, after every rest day, I have my Stalder skill-based training session. And then the rest of the days, making sure I have 2 rest days per week, I fill with a upper body, a lower body, or a full body workout. But what's worked really well for me in the past, and what worked really well when I started, first 8 months I did calisthenics, was after my rest day, having a skill fun session / upper body. The next day was lower body. The next day was full body, plus like maybe a little bit of cardio, more of a plyometric session. So you got that heart rate up, but you still work on your muscles. Then I had another rest day, and then I did upper body with more handstand types of things. And that worked really well for me because my main goal isn't just to get a skill, but it's also to have fun with my training and make sure that my full body is getting stronger. So my legs too, booty too, which is why I do hybrid training. Bonus mistake, make sure that you're not ego lifting like your girl has tried so many times to progress onto the straddle front lever, and we're just not there yet. We're still at the tuck lever. So make sure that you don't go harder than you actually are at yet. Always use the progressions. My hot take on the question, do you think calisthenics is easier for tall people or short people? I think it depends on the exercise. I think if we're doing pull-ups, it's totally based on body weight. It depends on how heavy the tall or the short person is. But if we're talking about like a horizontal motion, like if we're just thinking about levers by definition and physics, how hard the person has to pull, the force they have to exert to make themselves flat to the ground depends on how long their body is. So in that situation, it would be harder for a tall person, but not necessarily for like a horizontal, like the handstand. It's all about full body control and hand strength. So that's my hot take, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. So those are the 5 biggest mistakes I have made as of yet in my fitness journey. I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope you don't fall prey to these mistakes too, like I did, because there's no point. You know, learn from my mistakes, don't have to make your own, it's always better. And thanks to everyone who asked the questions. I was nervous, no one was gonna ask questions, like y'all are the best. If I missed any, feel free to throw them in the comments and I'll get down there. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!